everyone. I have a very special guest with me today. I should probably put on names. That would go a long way. There we go. I have Charles from. Can you say it for me? I just keep calling it
Can
Will
you?
Media.
Williscredia.
Willis Greedia.
Yeah, it's a there's a word for it when you take a bunch of words and smush them, and I used to know it, but my brain's broken. So
Yeah, mine's it's too early to not have a broken brain. Like, let's be real here. Um, but we have a few things we want to talk about today. There has been a bit of a situation
shoot.
stirring, and there are a few things I want to ask you personally, and that'll come later. But I want to now. I think what the I want to give my position on the Fandom Initiative before we even go into it. I think it's a great idea,
I
right?
agree. I
I think it's
agree.
I think it's a great idea. Do I think it maybe even started with good intentions? Absolutely.
I agree.
But it spun into, oh my god, that YouTuber said something I don't like. And that may be a little bit gaslighty, right? But and I may be a little bit hyperbolic there, but that it became covering the YouTuber and not the fandom, which is hard to do. It is hard because a lot of people really, in as much as they don't want to admit it, people do are very attracted to the drama as compared to, hey, Marvel's newest project got an 8 out of a 10 for me, right? So it is hard to do, but I do think it's a good idea in theory. I want to be clear with that. But
I'm sorry. I appreciate figure drawing. It is Catmandu. I'm being facetious. It's portmanteau is what it is.
yes,
I
yes,
used
it
to call
is.
it Catmandu, being facetious, and then I forgot what the real word was, so that's what I get for
Oh
being stupid.
no. There we go. Thank you. Figure drawing is awesome. But so there's and you were part of the Fandom Initiative for a long time. And you have been there. You have done this whole I don't know, did you guys cover now cuz all of the stuff I seen when I prepared to talk to Bob was the YouTuber issue that I had. Did you guys cover a lot of other media, nerdy media, supposedly how the mission statement had started?
I'll be honest that, I mean, they'll tell you this, that I was more of a movie guy. I certainly wasn't a
Okay.
comics guy, despite, there was a particular prominent name in the, uh, illustrator community that follows me on Instagram, and I follow him back. Uh, Ross is their last name. That's all I'll say.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And that was a point of contention for I don't think anybody really in the initiative, but it was always like, why you? But again,
Wow.
nobody. No, please. I'm not saying anybody in the initiative.
Right.
It was more. I'm a movie guy, not any initiative members. I want to make that abundantly clear.
You're also a
Nobody.
comedy guy too, right?
Yes, I'm literally a professional comedian. Although Gray and Patrick would say quite the opposite. But yes, I was a working road comedian for quite a while. Kind of shifted to mentoring, and again, I have this web service thing where if you want for half an hour, I can give you like structure tips and things, and you can get like a better help type thing, but for comedy. And I don't have the tools with me. I'm really bad at selling myself. But yeah, I was more of the movies and the like box office stuff. Like when people would say, "Oh my god, Captain Marvel's failing." I'd be like, yeah, the numbers don't really say that
You know, a
actually.
$1 billion
Yeah.
roughly.
Yeah, yeah. Industry standards say quite the opposite, actually. So you could, put all your googly eyes in your thumbnails, but, doesn't change the fact that this is grossly misleading. And that was kind of my thing, but, a lot of the stuff, especially when it came to comic stuff, I for the most part, I just kinda stepped, laid back while they touched on it, and, more and more I realized that there was things that I was just unaware of
Right.
in just how political, fandom was. Like, I was such a pair of virgin ears but a year ago to, like, I knew about I knew about Gamergate and all
Right.
of that. I was alive in 2016, so, I mean, I know about all of that,
Right.
um, and I didn't realize that it, like, spilled out into, like, comics and, like, I mean, I had witnessed it as far as movies were concerned, and the dreaded W word that was just thrown onto everything, and it just, like, lost meaning after a certain point. Um, rhymes with broke, in case
Yes.
you're
Yeah, yeah,
wondering.
I got it, but I mean, I think that lost meaning long, long ago.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, at a certain point, it's everything and it's nothing, and you can't apply it to every single thing that you don't like about something. It also needs to be said that, while also being trained in comedy, I'm trained in film, so when somebody says that this character's a Mary Sue or this character's a this or that, you're that's not true. Yeah, like,
Right.
as far as technically speaking, this character has an arc. They're written well. You may not like that, Prey is an incredible movie, quite comparable to the original Predator, but that character's arc is there. Um, it's just I found myself frustrated with so much, um
Movie talk is frustrating nowadays, for
Yeah,
sure.
just it became laborious to be a fan of something, and it was just like, "Is this all this is?" Because, like, I have mental health issues, and I I'm supposed to keep myself away from this type of stuff, and it was just, it was snowballing to a certain point, and, o over the course of the summer, I realized that I just didn't really want to be a part of it. Um, and then I like realized that there was these like groups. It wasn't like one side or the other. There was like one side, another side, and then a side that would like capitalize on the other side and like
For sure. And
uh
own it, and it's
yeah,
very tribalistic.
yeah. And it was really kind of weird. And like the thing that I came to you on, it's strange. The amount of stuff that's happened since I sent you that message on Sunday, you would think a year happened between then, as far as
I
what's going on with me. Well, I as far as when I spoke to you is concerned, I was no longer a part of the initiative. But, things happened. I had a pre-recorded video that released on Gray's channel. That, um, didn't go over well with my ex-cohorts. I had to, witness somebody in real time, um, show DMs of a situation that I really don't think is the coolest thing in the world, considering members of those DMs weren't present.
right. That's
And
always uncomfortable.
yeah, especially like when you're, you know, living with or married to those people, it's really, really frustrating. Um,
Oh god.
and I had this like thing because I told Bob, Organized Chaos, I said, there's this pre-recorded thing that I did with Gray. If you need to talk to me after that thing goes up, I'm happy to whatever, take it on the chin, so to speak.
Right.
And, somebody squoze their opinion with a slapdash live stream in between, and just kind of made everything seem really a hell of a lot worse. And then yesterday, last night, it was less me, you know, debriefing Bob on like what he had issues with that video, and more me answering for how could you in 16 different formats, how could you answer for this and this, and I was like, what's going on here?
Right.
Factor in that one of the capitalizer accounts, which is the reason I reached out to you, um, just totally went banana sandwich
Well,
on.
and not only that, I felt really bad for not you, but only Bob during that because he was trying to have a conversation with you, constantly like looking at his phone, getting, I'm assuming, reprimanded or something. You were trying to have a conversation between friends. You made it clear you had been friends for quite some time,
Yeah.
and it seemed like he was having to deal with Dane in the background the whole entire time. And
Well,
that seemed really unfair to you guys.
what was weird was I had 2 pages of notes that I brought, that I got to maybe a quarter of, and I didn't realize this until after the thing went down, but somebody was requested to stop streaming. And now
Oh,
you've said their name.
yeah.
It kind of was like, what is this? Like, this is very puppet mastery,
Yeah.
from somebody who I would assume, was just a viewing participant. Like, I answered it to the best I could, to the best of what I had knowledge of, for what felt like 80%. I certainly can be wrong. If somebody wants to give me the exact TikTok and not the app, the time of how long we covered certain things versus how long we got to my notes, um, it felt like I got played off as
Right.
as I was halfway, or not even halfway, halfway through halfway of my stuff.
But wasn't that a bit of the complaint to begin with, anyways? That you
Um,
felt like you, in your video that you uploaded where you talked about it, and it may have been the reaction to Gray, actually, I'm not sure. You said you felt like you weren't being utilized. You felt
yeah.
kind of pushed to the side.
Yeah, and a lot of people, you see, I said this to Bob. I said it, confidently. I said it in private, and it's something that kind of came up yesterday. And I said, Bob, it took me watching that video to, like, and I left it in, like the video that me reacting to Gray. It, like, in post, where I put up how much time I'm talking about stand up. Like, I did that in post. When I sat on it, I was like, I really kind of feel less than, and I feel ignored,
Yeah.
and I don't know how that interpreted to, um, I'm being, like, shut out, or nobody listens to me, or, like, the translation really kinda didn't didn't translate. It wasn't translated well. It was like, wow, as a professional comedian, you would think I would have some sort of weight,
Yes.
to this, and that's the reason why I front loaded what I said with a particular artist. Um, you know, I don't know anything about comics, but if I started talking about, well, this person who we follow each other on Instagram, it'd be like, yeah, but what do you know? And I wouldn't blame them for saying that. So, at the same, I don't know, maybe that's gatekeepery. That term's been thrown out a lot, by
And
it.
also lost a lot of meaning.
Yes, yes. There's a lot of terminology that's just. Uh, I'm not really a debate bro. I'll be honest with you. The whole good faith, bad faith, I just don't know what those words mean anymore,
Right.
because they're used so much. Um, so it just made me realize that it was just like, wow, if I can't talk for more than 37 seconds about stand up, I have these people who are our enemies, who are picking us apart, who won't give me the right to be called a comedian. And then, I won't be given more than a total of 37 seconds by my crew. What am I to anybody? And uh it's just the fact that m- my side what happened during that pre-recorded premiere hurt. It like really hurt. And the fact that I got apologies in real time from the people that were supposed to be the other side, like, that sucked. And the fact that my team doubled down and decided to show DMs about certain health conditions of loved ones
Oh my
is
god.
disgusting.
It's beyond disgusting.
And then
Um
triple down in yesterday's stream with Bob, and I was like, "The wow, wow."
in See, I didn't know. I didn't see. I know Dane takes down his stuff. I tried to keep up and make sure I knew what I was talking about since Sunday. Um, but Dane always takes his stuff down. I'm not subscribed to his channel, so I didn't see it. Um, but the fact that he then went on and said, "I'm sorry, my reaction was caused by your shitty behavior," was really, really telling at the end. There's no accountability, and that's what it
Wait,
kind
what?
of
I'm
at
I'm
the
lost. My reaction, I wasn't
That's literally what Dane said at the end. When Bob was saying I wasn't happy with that stream and everything else, he said, "Well, I'm sorry my reaction was to your crappy behavior." Right? I don't know exactly what word he it may have been
I'm
crappy. Yeah.
probably
And I
better off
was
I didn't see that.
yeah, and here's the thing. This is the difference that I see, and I don't agree with Gray or Patrick on everything. Nobody agrees
who
with that.
who
Yeah,
does with anybody
exactly.
though? Like, that would be a terrible world.
And I don't even agree with their I don't even like every once in a while I'll watch their stuff, but the thing is it's very repetitive like the Fandom Menace. It's all about you guys, right? Like I that's where I had the issue with their content, right? It was all about the Fandom Initiative. So that's where I was kind of like, okay, they're entertaining, but at some point you're like, when's enough? But the fact that they literally sat there and they were like, hey, you know what? You were right. That's where you gain my respect.
Right, right. And like that's where I was trying to be like, Bob, like you're saying all of these things. You're talking about 6 months ago, but yesterday they said, you know what, you're right. We're gonna stop. Like, isn't that the goal? And I don't know. I don't know. Like,
That's supposed to be the goal. But the goal, it does seem, and I'm going to talk in generalities here, right? And
hmm
I'm going to talk about, I am very much so, and I know people hate this, but I am very much so of the both sides mind, right? Whereas it seems like with one side, with the Fandom Menace types, they want media to improve. They want, better entertainment. But then when it's offered to them, it's still not good enough. Or with this other kind of issue, you're seeing you want an end to this, like, absolute insane, always talking about you type stuff. And when they admit they'll stop and apologize, they're still the enemy. You see how this never works out online?
yeah, keeping the Cold War going is I think
Yes.
a figure of speech that I used. And again, the monkey wrench in all of this was somebody capitalizing on all of this on Sunday. Somebody who I don't know, like, what first of all, what took them so long to get to this situation, as it was like a 2-week old thing, but um apparently a really, really, really strong follower uh of a of a content creator who I've had choice words for and gone back and forth with. Um they had to throw it in there that, I still think that what you said wasn't nice, but and then they tried like doing this like you're okay now thing, and it was just
Oh my god.
it,
You know
well,
what?
I'm paraphrasing. Please, please don't quote me. But it made everything look like if you were paranoid and in the Fandom Initiative, that combined with me doing a stream with Gray the next day, you would think that I'm full on selling secrets. And it was like, wait, this is bad. And then when I saw some of the like retweets and some of the responses, I mean, I think I showed you one where they literally compared us to terrorists, and I was
Yeah,
like, "What?"
wild, wild stuff. But you know what? I've seen threats come from Dane also, which is, again, I know people don't like when I do the both sides thing, but it's real. If you step back and look from an outsider's perspective, there is a bit of tactics that both sides use considering their targets. Let me get this real quick. Um, Robert, thank you so much. I'm so sorry you had to deal with this, Charles. This shows the whole problem with the culture war. Both sides are taken up by extreme voices who feel whatever it takes and is the best tactic to use. And a lot of times I hear the phrase thrown around, there are no bad tactics, only bad targets.
Hmm.
And that I have an issue with too. They lost the plot. Did they ever have it? Ages ago. Thank you so much, Robert.
Yeah. Um, this all started about fiction too. Like that's what kind of makes me, if we can get this insane about like fandom.
Yeah.
Like, is there like baker YouTube that's just fucking popping off right now about, oh, you use strawberries, the motherfucker. Like
Oh my
it's
God, the
just
strawberries. But think about the cherries. They feel left out.
Yo, Cheesecake Tube is like drama central.
Here's the thing, there is a lot of like non culture war channels, but the culture war is a great way to sell a product, right? It's a
Sure,
great way to sell I'm the good guy.
sure.
And it's been the SJWs, right? The SJWs are taking over the comics. The SJWs are taking over the movies. And now it's the with the Phantom Initiative more pushing back against the anti-SJWs. And don't get me wrong, I do my fair share of that.
Hmm.
But that is not the bulk of my content creation, right?
Yeah.
Like I've been way too into Mortal Kombat. That's almost every day. Like I've been still covering the things I cover. And every once in a while, somebody will bring up a tweet or a video from somebody and I'll cover it. That's it. And I think that's initially like what I thought the Phantom Initiative was going to be.
And I agree. Like I thought it was because of the fact that you're American, I'm assuming, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So because we're so impressionable at certain ages, I think the bulk of like this anti-fandom fan base, so to speak, is like late teens, early
Really.
20s, as far as I understand.
I would definitely disagree. I would think they were the more like get off my lawn type nerds, like in their 30s and stuff. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
don't change my stuff I grew up
Yeah,
with.
yeah. Gatekeepers. But the extremes are like this is something I've said in the past and in a Fandom Initiative stream is like it starts with this. It starts with this. They hear certain rhetoric, then they go to Ben Shapiro, then they go up and
Yes.
up and up and up. And nobody owns the fact that because of their rhetoric, there's a bunch of people dead in a school somewhere. Um, and that like really freaks me out that that this this sides this other thing that everybody does. It gets so heated that nobody's like, "Listen, we're just talking about fiction.
Right.
Um, this is not that big a deal." And for people to need to quit their social media accounts because fans, quote unquote, are so extreme is really bad. It's like really, really bad. It's dangerous.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying that, and I think I even brought this up yesterday. The one situation I always think of is when Riva was introduced in Obi-Wan and she got a bunch of
Oh,
threats and a bunch of really racist language, and then it was somehow misconstrued that Star Wars was attacking the fans. It was the biggest reach I had ever seen.
yeah, don't be
It,
racist. What do you
yeah,
mean?
right? Like, how dare you tell me I'm gonna be racist? Like, what?
Yeah,
It is
yeah.
the wildest thing I have ever seen. And this is done almost all the time, right? That's just one situation. It's not all of it's not even one out of 100. It's every single situation. It's every single thing that comes out. Oh my god, there's a review bombing. Oh my god, there's this. And I want to come back to that point. We're talking about fictional characters. Yes, we do love them. Yes, we do grow attached to them.
Mhm.
But at what point do we take that to violence? I've been doxxed. I've been threatened.
Yeah,
I've had to step away.
yeah.
Why is that okay over I like Batman 138 this month? It,
I
does
don't
it
mean
make
to laugh, but
no, but
it's
it is that
absurd.
silly, right? It is that silly. And another issue I really did have with the Fandom Initiative, and I feel like, and push back as much as you want, okay? Push back as much as you want. But I did feel like there was a lot of I'm just going to come out and say it. I felt like Dane was a bit unhinged. Um threatening to rape people. Like, I know you're being hyperbolic. I
Yeah,
get it, but that's you're somebody that stands up for victims.
yeah. So if I'm going to push back against that, I need to push back against the fact that he acknowledges it as rhetoric when he uses it, but it's got to either be all or none because it can't be when I
Right?
say it, it's hyperbole. When somebody else says it, it's dangerous. That's not that. I'm sorry, not what works for me, but not for thee. That's just not the way shit works. Um, especially like if you have control over a situation and you can just if you don't like what somebody's saying, you just punt them and you just keep talking and there's no counterpoint to it. I don't disagree with you, but at the same time, uh, the can you see what's going on here? These people are threatening me. They're whatever, and it's like, yeah, yeah, but you're doing the thing in the other direction. So
Exactly.
it's either none of it is good or all of it's on the table. And that's something that I kind of got to yesterday, where I was sort of frustrated, and it's something that if they had watched my first video, I I I kind of took I maybe I said it more in the email than I did in the video, but I certainly told Gray, you guys are going in the same direction that the
Yeah.
Fandom Initiative are, and it's
Yep.
unhealthy. It's unhealthy. And you're just because and the only reason that I managed to think that there was like a peephole there was because Patrick said something that I recognized from being in support groups. And that was, three things to be happy for. You have to find three things to be happy for in a day, and you can't repeat yourself. And I was like, I know that. I know that from
Yep.
support groups I've been in. All right. So I have an in. And I just basically I just said, you know what? If they mock me, they mock me. Whatever. I'm just going to be completely exposed. And I sent Gray an email with just my entire history. I was a little snarky up front, to be honest. That I was like, as somebody who's not a professional and whatever. Uh, I gave them my history, and then I gave them my history, and I told them things that had I known that was going to be given away for free, I would have just made a community tab post about it. But um, I was extremely vulnerable to somebody I had no reason to be that to. And then only after the fact did I find out that there was an olive branch extended months ago, and I was like, "Wait, what?
Yeah.
Why was that not taken advantage of?" And hearing two sides, and I'm somebody who likes to say that there's three sides to a story: your side, my side, and the truth.
Yep.
um I heard two sides of it, and as far as I interpreted it, there was some obstruction between that olive branch. And if the olive branch is extended, then the Cold War can't continue.
Right.
And if the Cold War can't continue, then what the hell are we going to do?
The Cold War is very capitalistic in nature and you profit very much so. And I do remember that situation. And I remember um Patrick was hurt. Like I don't want to throw it out there. I know he was hurt. He was trying to do this the right way.
Yeah.
And I do think that probably jaded them into doing a lot of like,
And they went hard. They
yeah,
went hard. And yes, I understand the Fandom Initiative, like saying, "Well, he's just gone out of control," and it's like, yeah, but he reached out. Like it. What I said to Bob yesterday was, "Bob, are we talking to the Japanese now?" And he's like, "Yeah, why?" I said, "How did we get to talking to them?" And it eventually got to we had to drop two nukes on them. I said, "Do we need to do that in this fictional,
yes,
fandom thing, or can we just try? Can we just try to say, you know what? You've said some messed up shit. I'm going to put myself out there," which I did. I didn't do it as a member of the initiative, and once I just publicly said I'm not a member of the initiative, then I did the stream with them, and so if they like swerved me and made me look like a fool, it was me by myself.
right.
So I was thoroughly I felt like it was a step in the right direction. Listen, we didn't solve world hunger or anything, but I felt like it was a step.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you can get somebody to say you're right, I retract, I'm sorry, multiple times more than I felt was fair. Um, why wouldn't that be just a little bit of a just a tiny pebble of, well, there's some sort of good intent there.
So I want to ask you something, and I don't know if, at least from what I seen, they didn't pose it to you this way. So I'm gonna play a little bit of devil's advocate here.
Oh,
Yeah. Do you think they were hurt and that was the anger?
the Phantom Initiative?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I wondered
Yeah,
because a lot of times we act emotionally when we're
sure.
hurt. And I know somebody had been making a bunch of content about me, and I have a few of them.
Mhm.
Um and one of my friends went on one of their streams, I would be hurt.
Yeah.
And I think I don't I and I still feel like there's a bridge that can be made with you and them. That's the thing. This doesn't have to be all or nothing. Nothing in the world has to be all or nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. And Bob and I go back to the Obama administration. We know each other a very long time. And he said it in stream that he was concerned for me. And I think I said it in stream and I was like, Bob, I'm concerned for you.
Yeah.
Uh I think I said, why don't we set some sort of bet up where if we both take each other at looking out for each other's best interest, that if one of us is right, that I don't know. I think I went to the extreme of saying, the other shuts their channel down or something. I wasn't being serious, but
Right.
I said, well, you tell me. And then I think I said something along the lines of like, chat, you clearly have some opinions. But I also said that I can't I can't fight somebody on things that I have no reference point on. There's somebody that isn't a part of the initiative that kept hammering points home about, well, how do you defend this? How do you defend this? And I'm like, tell me about it. Tell me about it. And I literally stopped the stream and I'm like, Bob,
Yeah.
what are they talking about? Um, and I like I I
And
I
again, I looked into that situation, and I mean, it didn't it didn't to me seem what was being honestly construed there.
was it hyperbolic?
It was
Perhaps
very
could it be
hyperbolic.
interpreted
It was very hyperbolic. They're stalking, that term, and that's all I'll say,
strong?
has a meaning. It's a
Yeah.
strong meaning. Use it correctly, right? Use it
Mhm.
correctly. In Now I only got one side of the story, but from what I looked into, and this was literally right before stream, it was very hyperbolic. Like, if you put yourself out there publicly recently, people are free to criticize. And that's the America we live in, right?
Mm.
Like, you
Yeah.
have, and I'm very much so, and it's what I went with Bob a lot back and forth on. If you believe in free speech for you have to believe in free speech for the people that are saying things you don't want to hear or you don't like. And that's a big deal, because once we lose that, that's it. That's it. We're becoming a fascist nation.
Yeah. So to push back on Fandom Initiatives, uh, again, not as a representative. I need to make
Right.
that abundantly
Yes.
clear. Um, it's my interpretation that they felt that there wasn't a comedy shield to offensive things being said. And that was, I think, part of the debate with Gray. And that's kind of why they didn't like what I me having a discussion about comedy with them. I don't entirely know. It felt like I was answering a lot of questions for a lot of things that I didn't have uh, uh, a a, a lot of, if not any, context
Context.
for.
Yeah.
Um, I I I I I reached out to certain people within the initiative and said, "Listen, if there's something, tell me." And had discussions. And the problem, Bob's a sweetheart. I think Bob wants to please everybody in that group, and it seemed as if it were evident yesterday. Um, I mean, he was asking questions on behalf of the initiative yesterday, and you know, I I don't I don't mind that so much. It was the fact that there was a stream in between the gray video and the
Yeah.
thing, because Bob and I had planned that just like you and I had planned this
Right.
on the heels of Sunday's thing. Um, I again, I can, I don't know, like, I don't know, maybe it's just me just willing to be optimistic as far as people are concerned. So I can understand how the excuse me, how the optics look when you see a, video with me with enemies, a completely separate group on Twitter posting a bunch of shit, sharing my links on Sunday, and then here I am today, the day after that stream yesterday. It optically it looks shady. I understand that, but um, there's proof otherwise that this was planned. Um, and all I could say is that I I gave that stream opportunity to Bob with the same um, what I felt I owed to him, because I felt like if he had some serious questions following the gray video, if he felt like I really like rolled them, I owed it to him
Right.
to answer to that. There was a monkey wrench in the middle where again I had 2 pages of notes, and when I started getting to it, um, I, I, it's in the chat. He was asked to stop the stream, and the stream stopped, and that
So I
hurt.
do think a lot of the chat was deleted also, because you can see them replying to people. I don't know um where all those people went that they replied to, right? So there is a bit of the chat that's not there. And the chat was wild. Like, I'm gonna I and I told you before stream, I learned yesterday that apparently I don't like trans people and I don't
Mm.
like black people. I did not know. Oh, except for saggy melons. It just, these people look at you as an enemy instead of as a human being, and they can say ridiculous things about you.
Yeah, it's weird, and I don't know. This is just my interpretation and what I've gleaned from things. For again, both sides, and again, not to be a both sideser, but both walls. When it comes to the red wall, the blue wall, they're very my way or the highway, and it's like, what the fuck do you think a democracy is?
Right.
It's not your way or the highway. That's like you said before, it's fascism. And um for as much shit as he got however long ago, George W. Bush said, if you're not with us, you're against us. And it's like, well, was he a
Right.
hardcore liberal? Because I don't think he was. So
I feel like that definition has changed quite a bit since then.
yeah, yeah. Everything has shifted quite a bit.
And that's why I always say, oh, I'm old school liberal. There we go. Old school liberal, yeah. Um because nowadays it just, and I knew, okay, so when the Fandom Initiative first started, again, going back to the idea that I thought it was a really good idea, right?
Mhm.
And I still think it's,
I signed on
oh,
to that. Yeah.
it's a wonderful concept. Um because of having dealt with Dane in the past, I knew I was worried for the people, but I did think that there was some hope for it. You have to, if you're gonna call yourself ambassadors, right? Not gatekeepers. You have to allow people the conversation that are, hey, maybe I don't like race swaps.
Yeah.
Let me tell you my reason. A very simple idea like that would go a long way. because not every single person in the world doesn't like race swaps because they're racist. Let's be real here.
Yeah. Yeah, and, that's why I'm kinda anti debates,
Hmm.
because debates doesn't seem to be
It's a blood
I
sport.
come from a position, you come from a position, and whoever wins, wins, and it's not like, "Hey, where's the middle ground on this?" It's never about that. It's, "Oh, I owned you," or, "Oh, I owned you," and it like, everybody says that they own the other party, and it's just like,
Right.
"Hey, guess what? Nothing happened. You have your little clip to boast
Yep.
about, and nothing's been done."
And I will actually say, I'll be the first to admit I am guilty of that when it came to my discussion with Bob.
Mhm.
But it was because I was really frustrated by the middle of that. There was no answers. I thought, again, I thought it was a good idea. Could you improve upon this? You have to be able to take some sort of criticism. You have to be able to really look at your, like, one of my issues was their sources and stuff like that. And there was no real answers. And the entire time, I'm being told he's being fed stuff by other people. And it's just an absolute mess. If I want to have a conversation with Bob, it should have been about his ideas, not the Fandom Initiative.
Yeah, I won't lie that, when he told me not to pay attention to chat, which, by the way, it felt like I was answering 30 questions at
Yeah.
once,
Oh,
not
yeah.
from Bob, and he told me, "Don't worry about the chat, focus on me." But he kept checking his phone, and I was like, "Bob, come on." Like,
Yeah.
what do we like, this was supposed to be about me reassuring you that, the thing with Gray was
An olive
whatever
branch.
yeah, whatever your notes or issues that you have with it, um, please present them. And then there was just, like, other things that came up, and again, there is this, like, wedge in between all of that. Actually, there was 2 wedges. There just a big cheese wheel in between everything, whether it be Twitter's goalposts nonsense on
Do
Sunday,
you think
which
that's what made this so much worse?
it didn't help.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's for certain. I think if it didn't get oxygen from that particular party, maybe it wouldn't have been half as big a deal as it was. But, um, again, like, there's a part of me that's like, I wonder if they found that 5 days earlier, what could have been, or if they didn't find it,
Well,
or
that their whole goal is to shit stir. Like,
oh, absolutely. Who's
that
they?
uh
Goalposts?
goalposts, yeah.
Yes. Yes, I
Like they'll
agree.
come in here every once in a while and just say, "Hey," and I or just say like, I think the one time they came in and said, "Does Nerdette even know how to play video games?" Like, obviously, I'm doing so, right? Literally, look at your screen. Like
Melina?
that is, yeah, yes, Melina is Bay. Come on, um, but that is they are very much so of the mind to cause division, cause chaos, and
Yeah, oh,
simply
yeah.
they're owning. Oh my God, look at this idiot! He said something bad about Eric July.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. I haven't
okay.
simped for that much for my wife. Like,
It's wild to me. I really do think and I've said that Katana is not Bay. Melina is. Um, but I really do think it's run in, again, my paranoia, run by the social media manager. But regardless, they are simply in it to cause division. So
Mhm.
making something worse for you may have, even if it didn't seem like it could have been their goal. We don't know. But I don't think no matter how nice they're being, I don't ever. Yeah. I would never trust them.
Oh, no. No, and that was something that I knew that Gray's video hadn't dropped yet, and now that Goalposts was capitalizing and paraphrasing things that I was saying on Twitter, my phone is old, so it doesn't load since it switched to X, and I'm kinda grateful because
Right?
I don't need to see that, and so I was, like, oblivious until, like, 6 p.m. I missed, like, 6.5 hours worth of Goalposts thing, um but when I got the, summary of everything, I was like, I really need to let Bob know that this is, yeah, I don't have any control of this. I was in touch with you at that point, um, and then it got worse and worse and worse, and the rhetoric got really, really vitriolic, like, really. Um,
And the only
uh,
way to really combat that is to get out in front of it. And
yeah,
unfortunately sometimes that will doesn't even work, right? But all you can do is tell your story, and I think you
I put a community tab post
yes.
where I tagged every member that I could think of in the group, and, that was all for naught.
Oh
I
boy.
tried. I can only do
You
what I can
tried.
what I can do. I mean, you can not believe me, but I will tell you what my side is. If you wanna challenge me on it and find that I'm lying, then, you know, present your case, but if I left the group because I felt it was too hostile and, too much of the repetitive, focusing
Owning the
on,
chuds type content.
yeah, focusing on things that just weren't, eh, I felt mentally healthy, and, it just it wasn't fandom to me. If I left for that reason, why the fuck do you think I would want more of it? Like,
Right.
tenfold. That's silly talk.
And I don't and you went into that conversation with Gray, and I don't think it ended it and Patrick. I'm sorry, Patrick. Um I think it went pretty well. Like, I don't think that there was anything necessarily wrong with it. You built a line at the bare minimum, built a line of communication, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the point of this, right? Like,
Yeah. I thought if you have notes, all right, but at least we like here, we have a foundation to build from. No, because if not, then like where would you have started from? Am I down?
no, 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 you're
Oh,
good. I'm
oh,
thinking I think that I would have followed a very similar path, and that's the thing. I don't think that path is wrong, right?
well,
I
there
think
is the
there
nuclear option where you just literally drop a nuke, and that's how you get
right, that
people.
is true. So there are certain situations. I think there are very few select people that I will that have gone too far that I would never build an olive branch with, right? I don't think that they crossed that line. Right? There was no doxing, there was no stalking, there was no like there's a line, but I can still understand from Bob's perspective why he might be hurt. Had you told him previously that you were going to drop that video before it dropped?
Like, say, on September 26th, when the video dropped on September 27th, would that be enough notice for
Yes.
you?
Yeah.
It's weird. I thought the
So
same thing.
yeah, so you did tell him.
Yes. Yes. And I also told them, by the way, I reached out to Gray if I'm reacting to the video right now. And then I told him, all right, the video's done. It's going up tomorrow. And he's like, all right, I'm 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 worried about you. And I'm like, don't worry about it, Bob.
Yeah, I would say leaking DMs is a nuke. Yeah.
It's certainly something that they did in Vietnam at the very least. What was
Oh
that?
my.
Agent Orange or whatever? If
Yes.
not nuking, it's something pretty chemical.
It's pretty terrible is what it is. But so you gave him notice.
I did. I
A-
did,
And
and
you
at
opened
every
up that
stage,
line with communication with him. If he had an issue with it, he could have been like, "Hey, look."
right, and, it to benefit of the doubt, perhaps um, certain members didn't know that I was nearly as frequent on Discord as they were,
Right.
and um, it was said that I had been reached out to on Discord um, a couple of times, and I did go and check, and yes, there is 6 messages there that are waiting for me that I have yet to click on. But um, you had like you found my YouTube page. You were commenting in the chat. Why not say, "Hey, check your Discord"? Like, if you were trying to reach me, my email address is on the for business inquiries on my YouTube page.
Yep.
My email address is in the group. Um, hey, let me try him on Discord. He's not answering. Let me try him on Discord. He's not answering. Let me try him on Discord. He's not answering. Let me try him on Discord. He's not answering.
maybe,
Let me try him on Discord. This guy's ignoring me.
maybe at some point you would be like, you know what? He's got an email. I'm gonna shoot him an email.
You would think. At least Bob was like, dude, I've been trying to get in touch with you. And I was like, oh, all right, shit. Apologies. And then we touched base. It was that simple.
Oh my goodness.
But again, benefit of the doubt. Like I'm not there as much as others. I,
I
it,
mean, I think that's a bit healthy, but that's just me.
unhealthy or healthy?
Healthy. I sometimes like you social media, I have a huge issue with Twitter and how really kind of dependent it
Oh,
makes us on not only our phones, cuz don't get me wrong, I'm on YouTube, but
hmm,
um social media is a bit of a disease, just saying a
yeah.
bit of a cancer.
No, I don't hate that my phone won't load Twitter for me. Like I really don't hate it. It's just like a, you know what, a Zen moment for me. Fuck it.
Yep.
Have you
There's
been
nothing you
cursing?
can.
Have I been? I apologize.
Oh no, yeah, you're good. I
Okay.
promise. I promise. But so had told them when you were still in the Fandom Initiative, we'll go back a little bit. Have you raised any concerns about wanting to either change the direction or at least, you know, garner some sort of different content variety?
I I I did, but not to an amount that like was loud enough, evidently. I did tell Bob in private, and there was a certain point where somebody else can vouch, and I'm sure this person can provide the audio where I'd sent them a like a messenger recording where I was like, I'm free this Wednesday, but I don't want to be there. Like it's just not fun for me anymore. Like I'd like to talk about happy things and not because I had seen the thumbnail and I was like, no, I'm not,
Yeah,
not anymore,
I
not
get it.
that. And then of
So what is
course,
loud enough? Right? Is it one or two times among friends loud enough?
you know what, y- in their defense, I defend everybody but myself. Um, in their defense, I tend to retract. I uh, uh, I shut down. I'm an introvert, and since my father committed suicide, I've
Oh
had
my god, I'm so sorry.
it's almost a decade ago. Thank you, but um, it wasn't that so much as my ex-wife um, asked for a divorce on the 1 year anniversary of his death,
Oh
and
my god.
uh, yeah, that kind of spiraled, and I have not been able to, um, catch my footing. I've been trying to do things one way or another, but I am mild to severe agoraphobic. COVID really pushed all of that back
Yeah,
quite a bit.
yep.
I mean, if you've seen The Aviator, you know how bad agoraphobia can get, and I
Yeah.
will tell you, I've locked myself in rooms from the inside. Like, I knew nobody was coming into the room, but I locked myself in, and that was where I was staying, unless I really needed to use the restroom. I you know, this is recyclable, and, yeah,
Oh my god.
I apologize for the visual, but, if it's not soda, it's apple juice.
Oh my god.
That is it at its most dark.
Right.
Um, and I apologize. You probably didn't need to hear that, but in their defense, when I'm having patches of, just not doing well, I go dark. Like, I just go dark where it's really
Mhm.
hard to contact me. So, to their credit, perhaps they might have said something or tried to appease something that I had said. Again, I wasn't a part of the last 8 or 9 episodes of the initiative. And what's funny was, like, the last 2 or 3 episodes, they started doing things that it was like, "What, fun content? You guys are
Oh
debating
no.
which comic book character is the best? Like, what, man?" So it I was the, sacrificial lamb for the fun content, maybe. I'd like to give myself that big an ego to think that it was me that caused that.
I
I
mean,
know it's
that's the
not.
best part of fandom though, right? The shop talk, like,
Oh, yeah.
who would win?
Yeah.
Man Thing or Swamp Thing? Like that's the best part of fandom, and that's again what I tried to when I was talking to Bob. That's what I tried to get over. Fandom shouldn't be about other people. It should be about the things you're passionate about. It should be about the things that you're interested in, you're reading or you're watching or you're playing. That's what fandom is to a lot of people.
Right.
I understand that it doesn't get as much views. It sometimes people, when we're all guilty of it, every single one of us is guilty of going, "Ooh, drama." Right? I'm gonna
Of
watch this
course.
instead.
Of
Right?
course.
Like, we all are. But at the end of the day, I can't listen to a 2-hour podcast about a bunch of drama unless it's something, for my show. Or like I did earlier with your with you and Bob. But I would much rather like listen to how to improve on Melina because she's Bay, right, Bianca? Um
Someone's deep into the, Mortal Kombat right now.
Yes, and oh my god, it's bad. Every suggestion I have is combo guides, this, that, list. Like it's bad. But like I would much rather listen to that than I would something um that is just sowing division. And
Spilling the tea. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and here's the thing. I did feel like the Phantom Initiative was the left-leaning version of the Phantom Menace. It's kind of what it was.
I don't disagree with you.
And it felt very much so the same. Whereas, um,
I don't think it
I,
started the same. I really don't.
okay,
I
that's
don't.
fair.
I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, what I was gonna say was, um, I never really had a huge issue with the Fandom Menace, right? Um, at the beginning, and then there was this one point where, oh my god, I liked The Last of Us Part Two. That was my mortal sin, right? I know, and then to add insult to injury, I enjoyed He Man. Not the Tila show, He Man. And holy shit, I had so many people telling me what an SJW I was, what I've changed, this happened, that happened, right? But it feels so similar on that side because it's like, well, you don't like Riri Williams, Miles Morales, you're this. It's very much so an ideological driven fandom.
Yeah.
Like even to the point where it seemed like there was one really weird part I wanted to ask you about. Were they trying to ambush you because you used somebody's wrong pronouns in that stream?
I don't know what the whole me and he's kind of shaky with the trans community thing is. Um, because that is like really misrepresenting me
Yeah.
and very dangerous. Um, I've as an MC, I've as a touring comedian, you know, at a comedy club, you're theirs for 3 shows. And if somebody buys the club out, I'm still the MC, whether or not the comedians get the paid night off. I still have to MC the thing. I've done at least a dozen drag shows in my life as an MC, and like the ongoing gag at that point, like I expected it by the fourth or fifth time. Like, oh, we're gonna get the cis white straight guy to get up and drag to close the show out, and like it was just like it was the closer. I got
Right.
it. Like, all right, cool, whatever. I'm anything for a laugh. I'm fine with it. But um, if they knew anything about me, they knew I did a stream about, and this was pre Fandom Initiative, where I did a stream where I got a horror YouTube. They were all horror YouTubers, where one is a bi female, one is a non binary, and one is a trans man. And we talked about the LGBTQ plus agenda in horror. And I played my role as, straight vanilla white guy. Um, and we just had discussions. And like to not know that I would misgender is really frustrating. My wife is LGBTQ plus. It 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 if you
It's a scapegoat. That's what I feel like anymore. It's a scapegoat. It's a way to label you something, to make you, to dehumanize, maybe, to make you feel like a villain. And I noticed, like I said earlier, I noticed his chat was doing it to me too, which is wild to me. Because I would actually go to bat saying that maybe me and Comics Drake, maybe there's a few of us that are pro diversity in comics, right? There's not very many. Most of them are like, comic skaters. But to say that somebody like me is anti-trans and anti-black is wild. It is a way to make you look bad in that situation, and that is super unfair to you.
yeah, and the problem is I expect it from, like, the goalposts of the universe,
Right.
but when everybody's saying that, like, I'm doing everything wrong, it's just like, do does anybody know who I am? Does, like, anybody know who I am? And it's a microcosm of the video I did with the Gray video where I was like, "Nobody thinks I'm a comedian except the people that paid me." Um What what's happening here?
And it does it so here's the thing. How long were you with them for? Out of curiosity?
Hmm. Well, I think they're starting their 1-year anniversary, and I think I like around Christmas-ish time.
Okay. So you were with them for quite a while. So it seemed like they should have known you better than that. You know what I'm saying? Like
Absolutely.
the those labels, just like we said about woke, just like we said about good faith and they should have meaning. They've lost their meaning.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
um when you're throwing those out there and you're not actually it's like the boy who cried wolf, right?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
the boy who cried wolf, because eventually you call enough people a bigot, unless Gray and Patrick's bigot wore off on you. clearly that's probably what's happening.
If anything, mine wore off on them.
But that's a situation where you're like, look, I am just a fucking person. And I'm going to tell you, and I am definitely center left, to be clear, and most people know that. One thing that drives me crazy is the misuse of words like Nazi, the misuse of words like bigot and transphobe, the misuse of those words, because when there's an actual situation, actual Nick Fuentes, an actual
Mm.
something along those lines,
Yeah, there's no
well,
stronger word to go to.
there isn't. So why would people believe you if you also said it about your neighbor? Right? That's irritating to me.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know how much of your audience is familiar with me, and I want to just say something that I am. I mean, I think you took Bob to task for me, which is
I apologize for the
no,
email. I did not know. I did not
no,
realize that was you.
no, 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 it's fine. It's fine. I deserve it. I certainly brought it on myself. I know what I was getting myself into. The whole thing with the reference that I said to um a RIPA content creator was in reply to him going off on Bob's kids, his
Yeah,
situation at home, that he wasn't a good parent to his kids,
that's horrible too.
um, and that he used three different broad stereotypes that Bob was a fake Irishman. I think that was the title of the thumbnail, as somebody who's part Irish. I that's what I asked him when he
Can you imagine if somebody said that about any other ethnicity? You see what I mean? Like that's not okay.
right. But I said what I said, and I said it because I knew that's the language that he understands. And
Right.
is it right? No. Um, but it caught his attention. What bothered me was not only that it was Bob, it was the week after he did the same thing, except, you know, when people show me saying that clip, they don't show the whole screen where there's an image of some dude who looks like him, slightly heavier, and he fat shames him, and it's just like,
Oh, he
when's this
does
guy
that all
gonna
the time.
stop?
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree. And I'm very much so of the mind of two rights don't make a wrong, right? But I
Yeah.
understand the anger. You were standing up for your friend. That
And
doesn't make it
I earned
okay,
it, you
but
know, I get it. I can understand, and I have people of color that kind of got to me and said, You really, I understand why, but you got to understand that, you know, it just doesn't look good, and I have to do things with you, and you know, I get called
right.
just that for associating with you. So you've got to be more responsible, and I have to live with that. That's something that, as far as Eric is concerned, until he retracts the things that he's said, uh, the way everybody presents that situation is very, only one person said
It's
one
very
thing.
one-sided. And
Yeah.
I will be honest, during that situation when I talked to Bob about that, I I didn't have the full context. Um if I and I could be wrong. Um but I think I only had seen a clip of it. I think when I went to go look for the original video, it was members only.
Mhm.
And you can see how that could cause an issue. Now, I
Sure.
didn't know. I did watch part of the organized chaos and RIPA debate. And I actually made a video going, well, I think, Bob took him to task. I think he did a good job. Now, the stuff about the kids, wasn't that later on, or
That
was
was
that
afterwards. He was
right
talking
after?
about Bob,
I
like,
didn't
he went off on one where he talked about guys divorced, he can't even take care of his kids, and then, like, he just kept going, and then,
see.
like,
That's
he
so wrong to talk about somebody's family that way. That
That's why I got pissed.
yeah,
That's why I spoke in the language that he would understand.
and that's not okay. And I take Ripa most, like, out of all of those people, I take Ripa to the task the most because he's comics, right? So that's
Mhm.
my forte. But to Bob, like, because I'm sure you're listening or will be at some point. I'm sorry that you had to go through that. Nobody should ever attack your
Yeah.
children.
Yeah.
Your you're being a father. That's not
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But
And
when you want to look better in a situation, you
it's
got to be better. You see what I'm saying?
yeah, and the thinly veiled threats about it. "Oh, we should meet up sometime." I'm
That's
not saying I
why.
would hit you,
Why?
but, like, what why would
Over
you
Miles Morales? Like, let's meet up over Miles. Like, what are you guys gonna do? Cosplay together? We know what you're saying.
Well, it was coded speak. It was, like, Trumpian in the way that he was like, I'm not saying I would hit you, but it would be a shame if somebody else did." And it's like, Dude, I've been around the mob. I know what you're doing. Like, don't do that." Like, you're threatening him without threatening him.
Yes.
Um, and I've read up on Eric, and as somebody who's suffered loss personally, he's gone through a traumatic event, or at least he's talked about a traumatic event where being interviewed, you would think he'd have some empathy for relationships with people. And that's where it was just like the same way that I recognize something in Patrick, I didn't see it
Right.
in Ripa.
And yeah,
And
I
it
can
was
agree
just
to
like,
that completely. It almost feels like the empathy has been sucked out of some of the big names
yeah.
because it's become a persona. Whereas you get little YouTubers and they're fun because they're just people, right? They just like they just simply want to talk about it. Sometimes you gossip, like we all do it, but
Mhm.
sometimes you just want to talk about, the new Batman issue and stuff. And I still feel like um that humanity that is still left in Gray and in Patrick. And I see promise in that.
Mhm.
That's the kind of content I personally like. I don't know about you, but like I like real people. I don't want to see your persona. I think that's so silly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
when you
but I mean, like I said earlier, I understand if people have reservations about me, and I get it. And if you want to take me to task, I I understand. But I all I ask is that you understand where I was coming from
right.
and what caused me to do that.
I
Um,
actually I don't remember, but I think the person that clipped it that I saw it from, and it may have been when Dane called him a chunky monkey. But I'm
yeah,
pretty sure it was Alpha Eagle that clipped that situation with you also.
yep,
And we all know
yep,
how honest he is.
yep, yep, yeah. The person who won't call somebody by their preferred pronouns because that would be lying to God.
No, he
I
speaks to God. That's
I
new.
Wait, literally?
Yeah, he literally they have conversations. I get it, it's praying. I get it.
Oh, okay,
But
okay.
it makes me chuckle. And he has since admitted alpha abomination. Yes, that's really what it is. He has since admitted that he has recorded. He actually recorded audio attacking my sponsors. Um,
Yeah, I
and
caught some of that. That's next level
listen, this
crazy.
was over me liking Batman and stuff more than the Punisher. Like there is crazy, and then there is crazy. Bane, don't attack your brother. I will kick you. I won't really kick you, um, but that is next level crazy. Like that.
Yeah,
That is. It's okay. You can like Batman. You can like Punisher. You cannot like either.
yeah,
I'm okay either way. You're gonna go. This is my cats are moody today. I apologize.
yeah. I mean, somebody in the chat says, "Where is the empathy for him?" And yeah, I'm willing. I mean, there during the Gray premiere, um, yes, I'm completely willing to. hear somebody out to a certain degree. But in like literally, when you have people from separate sides saying, Alpha, it's not about that. And he kept yeah butting. And it's like, all right, well, if you're gonna yeah butt to death, then you're not listening. Like for Patrick to say, you're not understanding what we're doing here.
Right.
Yeah, but wouldn't you say? Yeah, but wouldn't you say that this? You don't think canceling's happening? Oh boy, oh boy.
Sure, but not to the degree it's portrayed. But here's the thing. Asking where's the empathy, sympathy, anything for him, he burnt that's what I said earlier. There are very few people that have burnt that bridge. And he burnt that bridge by being complicit in doxing me, by um outing pregnancy photos, by attacking my sponsors. There is a point where you don't have that sympathy left anymore for somebody. You can wash your hands of them.
Yeah, and
But
as somebody who speaks to God, you would think they would have a WWJD tattoo or
right.
bumper
Wait,
sticker
no.
somewhere.
Tattoos I think are not allowed.
Oh, okay, all right, bumper
Yeah.
sticker, of
Yeah.
instead of live, love, laugh, what would Jesus do? I would assume would be somewhere up there.
Okay, this is I and I
I
told you, I warned you we were going to ask the hard question. So, there was a situation that came up and I did cover this. Um
I don't
I
recall that.
okay, so I'll explain it because I did cover it. Because it was pop counterculture.
Okay. Ed?
He yes. He actually had done a bit of a stream and it was I don't believe you were on it and they were talking about what he was going to be doing next on his channel. And he had his title to his next stream already up and it was Rag's first name, full name, rather, full name. And he had showed pictures of him. He said that they got, basically a something from 4chan, all this information, and they were going to go over. I don't think he ended up doing it, to be fair, but he definitely doxed him and he definitely put his information out there, at least momentarily.
Was I there?
I do, and I remember covering it. I honestly do not think you were.
I mean, if I was there, then I absolutely think it's reprehensible. Like, I need I mean, I'm not saying I didn't. I just, is citation noted is needed, please, is all I'm saying.
Yeah,
Um,
and I remember covering it, and I remember Dane, Bob, Ed, and I believe there was a fourth, but okay, so Gray confirmed. You were not there at the time.
oh, well, wait, Southpaw is not Rags, though, isn't it?
No. I don't know who
I'm
Southpaw is.
confused.
I think he's just saying it was around that time
Oh,
period.
oh, 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 okay. Yeah, we discussed that yesterday, that for as much as I didn't express my concerns, I expressed my concerns during that that period. Um, yeah, but yeah, it was that time frame. Thanks, Gray.
Okay. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna
I
say
wasn't.
I don't remember you being there. You don't have that. And I get you guys are just asking questions, but
No, yeah,
you don't have
and
to answer for other people's actions. I want to make that clear.
you sure? Because I certainly did yesterday.
No, like you answered for yours. You answered for like your misgivings. But you don't have to answer for what Ed did. And I'm not a big fan of I'm not a fan at all of doxing.
No,
I
no.
think if somebody
No, I just admitted to peeing in bottles. Like I doxed myself right there. I you know, whatever information people want out there, they'll give you. Um, it, I, it, it's not exactly the best thing to do, because you just again, it's the one-upsmanship. If you dox somebody, then
Where do
what's
you
the
go
next
from
step?
there?
All right, nuke. All right, here we go. Now we're gonna firebomb this country. Like it's just it's the elevation, the constant one-upsmanship, and it's just like, what?
Yeah.
What? Where are we going?
We're and then that becomes a swatting, and we've seen horrible, you know
Oh,
what I mean? Like, and that's what scares me so much about doxing situations is it can go so wrong, and we've seen that happen. Um, but no, nobody is okay with doxing at all. None of that is okay. Um,
yeah. It's also scummy. Dane's crew tried to hold the fact that Rags LGBTQ is gotcha. I'm married to LGBTQ. I wouldn't have done that.
I think a lot of Nickums, I believe it's how you say that name, is issue is not with you. It looks like it's with some of the actions of the people in the fandom menace. I mean initiative. Sorry. But not
You've said it a
spec
couple times where I'm like, does she mean that? I don't know.
yeah, yeah. I mean potato potato. No, I'm just kidding. But I do think that that is a lot of the issue there is not necessarily with you. Your actions have to be your own. Even if um even if you were in that group, what does Rags being LGBTQ have to do with anything?
Probably because I can answer that as again as somebody who just said I spoke in the language that Eric would understand, Eric Ripa. Um, that if they were associating themselves with a group that was very, um, not very friendly to the queer community, then bringing that up might be a bit of a
Okay.
wedge issue for that person. I can only speculate on that. I don't know. There's so much that if I wasn't there, I wasn't there. It's not
Right.
like they basically caught me up on things as I showed up. And like I said, I'm not much of a Discord person. It was brought up 2 days ago that I would show up late, and that was true. I like, if I needed to load Discord, I did, and it was, like, right before showtime or something, or I would upload something that was pertinent to my portion of the show or something. Like, there was just so much going on. I
Right.
don't know Discord to begin with, and there's, like, I don't understand, like, all the subgroups and all of that. Um, and that thing felt like, I don't know, somebody from Idaho trying to, without using a phone, get through New York City subway systems.
Oh
That's
my
what it
god.
felt
Yeah,
like to me.
I don't use Discord either. I think it's a oh, I'm sure it's a good tool. I'm sure it's a good tool for
Sure.
some people,
I'm
but for
jealous. I'm
me,
just jealous. I'm too old is all. I'm just
that's what I'm saying. I'm a boomer when it comes to technology. It's the hypocrisy.
Back
Sure,
in my day, it was ICQ.
ICQ. What was that?
Oh, that was like the alternative to AIM.
Oh, I remember AOL. Yeah.
And that had like, you could customize the noises and,
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
yeah, that I'm dating myself there.
I do agree that there is some hypocrisy. Um,
Sure,
when
sure,
it
and
comes to that.
it adds to, like, the where's the bottom of this bit? Like,
Right.
um, the whole "there's no both sides" thing, I tend to be like, "Yeah, there is. There
Yeah.
is," because for as much as you see this as one thing, they're gonna say the same thing about what you're doing, and, uh, uh, I don't know, to not recognize that is really conveniently looking away, I would think.
Well, it's definitely looking away, and it's definitely something more along the lines I think of rules for thee but not for me, right?
Yep.
Um and I do take issue with that. But same same with you with what we were talking about earlier. Nobody is perfect. I have said, like, we do Jackbox every Sunday, right? And we play games. Yeah, we joke and we don't tend to not make them offensive. Most of the time, by the end of the night, they're pretty damn offensive. But
Sure.
again, that doesn't mean there's hate in our heart, right? That doesn't mean that this is comedy. And you, of all people, know that comedy is about, some people make it
Intent.
about, yes. And where do you fall? Because I know this was a conversation before. Where do you fall on the punching up and punching down situation?
It's a case by case basis.
I think that's a great answer.
Thank you. Yes.
That is a great answer, because I would agree. Now there has been situations where if I were to address in a stream stuff that were said about me with somebody we mentioned before, Alpha Eagle, I would be technically punching down, but I'm allowed to clear my name, right? Like, I'm
Mhm.
allowed to combat those things. So I do think that's a good answer.
Well, yeah, it's an art form. All art is subjective.
Yes.
No art is objective. Technique could be objective. The way you interpret art is subjective. Um, the best art is supposed to challenge you. Um, and if you say something that not everybody agrees with, but some people laugh at, um, it's challenging certain people, and they're recognizing either the irony or humor or both in it. Um, and the intent versus pattern of behavior thing, I don't know, like that another thing that kind of lost all definition, especially in regards to comedy and defending it. And as somebody, I hate to burst the bubble for everybody, but comedians, when they do a bit, they're doing the same bit all across the country.
Right.
They're refining it. So if I have a joke that is, about um, white guys, and I just keep saying the same joke over and over again as I'm refining it, that would technically be a pattern of behavior, yes, but my intent is not to, offend. It's to hone the joke.
Right.
So, like, it really depends. The example I used with Gray on the punching up versus punching down was, if Chris Rock makes a joke about me, that's punching up. I'm on food stamps. I am, really not the greatest mentally. But if Chris Rock makes a joke about me, that's punching up because I'm white. I think
That
there are
is,
parameters that shift.
yeah. I mean, if Chris Rock makes a joke about you, you're famous. You're good to go.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, he's bringing me up.
And I do want to address this because okay, again, we're gonna establish this so everyone knows. Everybody in the Fandom Initiative didn't agree on everything all the time, right?
No,
You had
no.
disagreements,
I
right?
think I was contrarian more than I cared to admit, actually.
So when it comes to this parading around as a group, they make videos where they showcase their members. Um, and oh well, they just go, it's Bob or Dane, not us. Yeah, that's. Do we hold
Who's
everybody?
they? Like,
I think he's talking about you. No, that's how life works, right? We don't blame the whole GOP for the
yeah.
craziness of Marjorie Taylor Greene, even if we'd like to. Um, we don't blame the whole Democratic Party for things that AOC says.
Sure.
That is called being fair. Each person in a group has an individual voice. Same with Friday Night Tights, same with you guys, same with every single group ever made ever. Right?
Yeah, and it's generalizations. Unfortunately, you have to use generalizations to enough of a certain thing is a percentage where you yeah, yeah, that's pretty close, Hooded Justice. Yes. Yes, I'm rather depressed, thank you. Uh, Robin Williams, I mean,
That was tragic.
infamously, I have the same disorder he did. Um, but yeah, um, statistically speaking, to get people to understand, like, if you say, "Oh, man, Kevin from that corner store, he's this," and people are like, "The fuck is Kevin?" You have to, lump things in, and I understand that to a degree, like, what you're trying to say, and I'm trying to meet you halfway,
No,
but
you're doing good.
I need an example. What happened where Bob and Dane did something where I was like, "That's them, not me." Um, I need an example because, their opening titles are Dane, Bob, and, um, Turf,
Right.
with, feature members, as I was a feature member. I and if you watched in the last 2 to 3 months, best of luck finding footage of me.
Right.
I was rarely there in the last 3 months.
And I've kind of been dancing around this question, but I do think it's a good question. Um, you don't have to answer it,
Oh,
but
man,
it
is it late? I think it's late.
we'll ignore. Yeah, I definitely felt that in that stream yesterday, though,
I
and I
I
I felt bad. Felt bad for Bob to a degree. I felt bad because it felt like he wanted to have a conversation with his friend, and that was unable to happen.
I don't appreciate that when I got to my 2 pages of notes for Monday's stream, that it was requested that Bob end the stream. Again, Bob and I go back to 2015. Um, I afforded him the floor that I was answering for a hell of a lot more shit
Right.
than just the gray video. Um, but when I had my notes, things got tight quick. And the somebody said it in the chat, and I think you're being harsh. You're like doing. I recognize your name. You're a subscriber of mine. Um, it was very early. Kreider with a C.
Yes.
Um, you're being kind of debate bro, if I'm honest. And you followed me for a while, so I'm really not trying to be a dick to you or anything. But um I didn't own anybody. I really don't like that terminology. Somebody brought up a point where if if Charles thinks that something being brought out, DMs being brought out is okay, then shouldn't he think that what Gray did regarding their DMs, wouldn't he be against that? And I said, no. Actually, Gray was reacting to the fact that something that was sent in confidence to somebody else was a feature portion of a show that Dane and other people that were not the intended recipients of that um, email, he did a full episode on it where they discussed the questions. So for as much as everybody's just hyper paranoid,
Right.
no, it started with Dane and it ended with Dane. Dane put out, you know, what Gray was doing was like, all right, well, if you're sharing personal shit, then, you know, the same way I say that I spoke, you know, EJ's language, Gray was just speaking Danes, and
Right.
like it's just more of the same. And like I said, I really I understand it, and I think you should do none of it.
Right.
If Dane didn't do either, there'd be no argument, there'd be no discussion. And I really prefer if I didn't have to talk about any of them moving forward. But by all means, let it out. Oh boy.
No, and it does seem. I feel like this would you guys would have done a lot better with some. See, and there we go. You are not allowed here today. Goodbye. Not today. Not today. Um, we're trying to make this as easy as possible for Charles.
Well, no, I don't listen. I don't want kid gloves either.
No, no,
Um,
no. But yeah, it's goalposts. They're like I said earlier. They only sow chaos, right? Like their whole point is to sim for Eric July. Goodbye, right? I'm over that. Um, I think without taking the kids' glove off, I think that there would have been a lot more success in the Fandom Initiative if you didn't have a said overlord that was very. If Dane was a little less crazy in the fact that um he was very gatekeepy. He was very much so
he's an ambassador, not
controlling.
a gatekeeper.
Oh yeah, duh. My bad.
There's
Words have meanings.
there's graphics for that. You should know that. It's like it's right there.
And actually, and to his credit, some of the graphics that he's made, like about there was one about Poison Ivy when they were trying to say, "Oh, Poison Ivy is a fat old lady now." Like some of his graphics are very good, but the point is, I do feel like there's a lot of manipulation in there, and I feel like this was a good idea if you'd have been able to work it out amongst friends and be passionate. The passion feels like it left.
Yeah. I don't disagree. Um,
So how do
I
you fix that?
how do I fix it? I left. That's how
You
I
left.
fix it.
Okay.
I'm all about up here.
So where do you
I
go from here?
I don't know. I'm getting ostracized from everybody. So
I'm trying not, I promise.
no, no, I'm trying to empty this so I can
Oh
carry
my
about my
god.
business. I'm
See, I
um,
disagree. I am not a fan of gatekeeping. I'm not a fan of gatekeeping. I think when it comes to I don't goalpost got Oppenheimer. I only timed him out for a minute. Um uh when it comes to gatekeeping, when it comes to nerdy fandom, I do think that everybody should be included. I think everybody going and looking at, say, Star Wars has comes in from their own life experiences, and those are all important. I completely disagree that gatekeeping is a good thing. Also, I find it very weird. I'm a huge Alice Cooper fan. Alice Cooper made some dumb comments. Do you think dumb comments are worth death threats?
no, no. I don't know a single person who's flawless. I genuinely don't. That
Now you
appears to
do.
be a
You just met me. No, I'm just kidding.
see, there you go. There, like there is this thing where, um, I don't know, like eh, some circles I roll in or whatever, like are just finding out now that Bill Maher was a libertarian, and he was 20 years ago. He was on a show called Politically Incorrect because he said things that were politically incorrect. He
That
was
is a good title.
a Ralph Nader guy. He you know, I forget what the terminology is, but he certainly is not right wing, but he calls both sides on their stuff, and I
Right.
think there's something to that. I think there's something to be said, and it's like, yeah, he started to like lose me once he started talking about this and that, and it's just like, well, how what why? Because he had a Russell Brand on his show, like what? I don't I don't know. I don't know what did Alice Cooper even say. I don't even
I
know
don't
what.
remember. That's what I Love Comics just asking. I don't remember because my obsession with Alice Cooper goes deep. Like I have seen him in concert, I think 6 times. I met him 2 or 3 times. I hung out with his daughter. Like I love this man. So I come from a very clear bias. I was
Mhm.
gonna be like, he said nothing wrong. Get away from him. I'm trying to look it up, but it was something about he got his partnership with Vampire Cosmetics terminated
Oh,
because he said that he referred to like gender affirming as a fad. He said that it shouldn't be done on minors, including operation and hormone therapies. I mean, he didn't even that's wild to me. That it's
it's
not
his
even that
opinion.
it's not even that crazy of an opinion, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Uh I speak to somebody who was denied um hormone therapy because they, there's pretty vigorous testing when it comes to going through with trans. If you feel that you are of a different gender, and this person unfortunately, really wanted to start the procedure and start taking, you know, all of the chemicals and all that
The
jazz.
hormones. Yeah.
Yeah, the hormones. Um, and was denied because sometimes they felt like a woman, sometimes they felt like a man. And the doctor's like, listen, you this is either you
This
identify
yeah.
as blank or blank. What you are is perhaps non-binary. Um, but I can't in good conscience, prescribe you this stuff that's going to shift just everything about your body makeup. And some people are of the opinion that you got to let kids go through just regular old school, old fashioned puberty first
Right.
before they can figure out what.
Yes, hormones. Sorry, that made me giggle. No, that's the thing. My standing on that comes from the standing of a parent, right? You should be able to choose with your child and your doctor. You shouldn't have your senator involved, right? That's
Mm,
where I come from. Now I am like you. I didn't get my first tattoo till I was 18, though. That
mhm,
changed my body forever. I
mhm,
feel like that also makes sense. So I have my opinions, but I also try not to judge others on theirs. I try, and I do, like we all do. We all are like, oh, that person's an idiot. I use that probably every stream. But
yeah,
at the same time, what I said earlier is 100% true. You have to believe in speech for the people you disagree with also.
sure, sure.
And you have to listen to Alice Cooper cuz clearly cuz he's amazing.
Which amendment is that? That's the fifth, Seventh Amendment.
Yeah,
Oh.
they put it in the subtext. Yeah. They were super interested. They were like, this is a requirement. I love it. Um So where are you going from here? Let's talk a little bit about your future.
It it's been an extremely fast 48 hours, I'll say that much.
And that's the thing that
72?
you gotta, this too shall pass, right? That is one of my favorite sayings for a reason, because I know when it gets hard and it's been hell for you, you got to know that this will pass. So are you still going to make content? Are you still going to
Oh,
do your purple? What was it? The purple
We
show?
the Purple.
We the purple.
Yeah, if you're on the opposite side, and are of the mentality that we're not there to own, we're not there to whatever. It's not a debate show. It's a let's try to find common ground on something. I disagree with you here. You disagree with me there. But you're on the red party, I'm on the green party. You're on the blue party, I'm on the red party. Let's find something. The goal of the show is to just get purple at the end on something, even if it's I'm an asshole.
Oh, I get it now. Oh, okay. I like it.
I
I
mean,
like
yeah,
it.
I still got kicked back because people were like, what about the green party? I'm like, yeah, yeah. The two dominant parties in America are blue and red, and they mix to
Yeah.
purple. But fair enough.
I like that. Oh my gosh, that's so creative now. I thought it was just like a funky little thing you said.
That's a play on the word "we the
I
people"
love
too.
it. I love it. Okay, so that's a great idea. But you're going to do
Well,
like
well,
friendly conversations, right?
hopefully, I don't know. I don't think I have any friends left after the last 3 or 4 days.
Oh, see, that's why I said this too shall pass. Because even if you don't think you have support, there's always, whether it's me, whether it's Gray, whether it's Bob, right? Or Patrick. Won't forget about Patrick. There's always somebody out there that's going to, that's going to listen, right? And a lot of this is step away, maybe. Don't let somebody put all that negativity in your ear, because that's why you wanted to step away to begin with, right?
Yeah.
Like I love, and that's, so when I had that conversation with Bob, and I'll mention this because I totally failed, right? I totally failed. Um I tried to do my backup channel as a sort of fandom only channel, right?
Mhm.
And I was like, I like the idea. It's a good idea. I'm going to let anybody post videos on there. I'm going to let, my Sunday streams will be on there. I did fail in the sense that both of my channels got demonetized. Um, and yeah, that's always fun, right?
Mm.
Um, and I failed in the sense that I realized that people have their own stuff going on. They want to deal with their own channel. They want to do this. So I understand from the perspective of the Fandom Initiative how hard it can be to make that type of content. And I do respect the idea, but I think mostly in the future, putting some positivity out there, I think that's the way to go. And make fun of every people every once in a while.
Um, uh, Figure drawing. I have a transgender bathroom in my house. There's
I
just no
think
stick figures on the door.
there we go.
Doesn't matter which gender you are. You use the one restroom we have. Um, what's funny is for as much as like ultra left leaners will talk about these socialist havens like these Scandinavian countries. I spent a fair amount of time in Denmark, and they have just restrooms, just a whole bunch. If you go to like a mall or something, they have a whole bunch of restrooms, and it's just a door. And whatever you need to do in there, you have everything at your disposal. It's not a men's room, not a women's room, not a non-binary room. It's just a restroom. It's whatever you need to do. I prefer bottles. That's just me. um, but they are very hard with their humor. They are very what you would call, I don't know, offensive with the jokes that they tell. And the 3 things that I learned first in Danish when I went over there was, "Excuse me, I'm sorry," um, and something else. And, like, I slowly, because just, politeness, just the, "Oh, I bumped into you, sorry." Um,
Right.
"Thank you. Excuse me, I'm sorry, thank you." Those were the 3 terms that I learned in Danish to when I got over there. Um, and it took me a while, but they don't need to hear you say those words because they know that you're a human. Um, Obviously, you wouldn't intend to bump into somebody at a store.
You're just going
Uh,
around shoulder checking people.
yeah, well, I mean, obviously, like, I mean, it depends on the look on the person's face, but, like, I remember the first couple of times I was like, "Mm, dude didn't even say anything, just bumped into me." And my friend who was Danish was like, "We don't we know that it's not intentional. If it's intentional, you'll know." And I was like, "Wow, all right, interesting." The
That
the
is
uh,
kind of
the left wing safe haven is quite not the paradise it appears to be. As far as for everybody that says that everything's perfect over there, sure, they've kind of got high taxes and they take care of their own. Mentally speaking, that if there's a black eye on Danish society, it's they're not doing well in treating mental health. When I was there, six month wait. I was like,
wow.
what if you're if their big problem is suicide, and it's because people who have anxiety, people who have suicide issues, you're not going to wait 6 months. That
No.
nobody understand. Like, they clearly don't understand the urgency in somebody who doesn't think day to day, let alone minute to minute. So that's something that they probably don't advertise as much, and I'm sure they won't ask me back now that I've said that. But that's an unfortunate thing. But otherwise, they've got a lot of really, really interesting things going on over there, and it's admirable. They pay taxes out of their ass, but it's just we're humans, of course, of course, we wouldn't mean to do that,
Right.
and it's just like it takes so much to process and unlearn everything that we know about manners and everything. But like when you've been there long enough, it's like, wow, novel concept. Just yeah, no, we know. You don't have to say it.
Something very, very simple like that. Yeah. That's I wanted to say I know you guys are joking about the sorries, but you didn't fail. I failed at realizing it's a big workload, right? And I also never wanted to bug people, but the tribalism thing, I think we all fall into that. We do. And like I'm very protective of my community. I'll defend them till the end, right?
Mhm.
Um and that's a bit of tribalism, except for figure drawing cuz he always gives me shit. No, I'm just kidding. Um because I agreed with Blair White on one thing. No, I'm just kidding.
What
Um
Yeah, like, that's the other thing too, like, it should be okay, like, you shouldn't have to feel the need to protect everybody on something. If somebody says something where it's like, "I don't know about that," you should be able to say, "I don't know about that," and for them to understand that, like I just did with I don't even know if they're still here, C C Kreider with a C.
yeah,
Uh, you know, I don't like that you use that terminology. It doesn't mean that I don't appreciate you being around and whatever. That
exactly.
doesn't mean go away. I don't ever want to see you again. It just means on that issue, I I wouldn't word it like that. That's really nobody's 100%. Nobody is. God rested on the seventh day.
Right.
Why did he
And
rest?
he wanted to sleep in, guys. Give him a break. Sleeping is wonderful. It really is.
I'll say when I can get it, sure.
Right?
Mm.
Exactly. But okay. So I know I pivoted this way, but I want to make sure you're still going to make content. What
Oh,
tell
sure.
tell people what kind of content you make cuz it will be in the it is in the description, you guys. So you should check it out.
Oh, I'm a mess. I'm a mess. Um, I've kind of, Gray's kind of inspired me to do more of it. I have a show that I do a live stream every weekend, and it's called Weekend Live. That is, if you catch it live, you can watch it. Channel members get to VOD it. Um, that may either be in addition to or evolving to open mic with yours truly,
Oh,
where
that's
I'll
cool.
be discussing comedy related stuff. Um, there's that. There's I focus a lot. What do I call it? Movies, entertainment, idiocy. That's my tagline for my my channel. I like to stay on pop culture related things. I like doing debates for fiction, and as long as we know at the end of everything, everything's cool. I think, having debates about stupid shit, as long as we know it's stupid
And
shit,
it's
like,
fun.
yeah, what's the best ice cream flavor? You're wrong. So, that nobody's going to get harmed from that, except perhaps if you have a lactose intolerance, then maybe. But other than that, it's okay to have fun and get heated, but as long as everybody knows it's all a joke. We're here for far, far, far too little. um we've got to laugh at each other because this it I don't know if
No, I get it. It's hard. I know people make this their job.
mm,
And people are very successful on YouTube with this as their
yeah,
job.
oh, sure.
But there are a lot of us that just use this platform for an outlet of uh, creativity, to talk to people, to build a community, and um that kind of seems like what you want to do. And obviously the answer was cookies and cream. Just saying.
Clearly there's the first episode of We the
Cookies
Purple.
and creams is delicious. You put a little bit of milk in it and mix it up. Amazing. I promise. I promise. Um and you do a lot, and I've heard you talk about like George Carlin and a lot of your comedy stuff. Um is that something you will feed into? I know you do reviews.
Yeah, I do a lot of movie content. For Halloween, me and a group of much bigger YouTubers, Cody Leach and Sean Chandler, and Brian Lomax, we all do this 31 on 31, it's called, where we rank 31 franchise films for Halloween. And this year sucks.
Oh no.
Because we're ranking the Saw franchise, the Wrong Turn franchise, the Hellraiser franchise, and oh, I'm missing more shit. Oh, Hostel.
Oh
Um,
god.
it's torture. It is. I mean, some of it literally is torture in the film franchises, but whew,
Isn't Hostel like torture porn? Like, isn't that kind of what it
most of
is?
it is torture
Yeah.
porn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
never forget that scene in the Saw where she falls into the
Oh, the
needles.
needles.
Oh
I
god.
passed that already. I don't need to
Oh
see that
god.
again.
It's
Yeah.
so disgusting. Like,
Yeah.
that's a huge fear, and oh my god. It is so. Do the human centipede.
It should have been included. It certainly fits. It really fits into that. I mean, I I don't know, like, this is picking between garbage and vomit, but I would argue that Hellraiser is more like BDSM kinda like whatever. It certainly is torture, don't get me wrong, but Human Centipede is more along the lines of something like Saw or Hostel. Um,
Ooh, something not for me.
yeah, it's rough. It's rough. Like, when you're ranking 31 movies and you're going more than half before you're like, this was not bad. Um, it's a rough time.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
that
more than half of my list, I'm like, this is less than 1 star. This
yeah.
is bad. This is
That's a
horrible.
great idea though. That is a
Yeah,
great idea,
we've
especially
been
for
doing it
Halloween.
a very long time now. This is the 5th year in a row that we've been doing it.
Wow.
Cody Leach and well, Sean, Cody Leach has. Oh well, I'm talking to you. You already have 100 something thousand subscribers. Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you.
Um, he is along your level, and Sean is 2 to 3 times as much as he has.
Wow.
Meanwhile, me, I just am busy being lazy and pissing everybody off. So
Nah.
I just stick down here and.
I I think you're more pissing one person off and
No, I what is it? The Kurt Cobain quote. Um, I'd rather I'd rather people hate me for being myself than be loved for not being myself, for being
yeah.
somebody else.
Yep.
And you know, I I'm about that. I'd rather be honest and like true to myself, and whatever that brings, then so be it. It's why I am not really a big fan of like compliments and things like that because when you've been around a certain few industries like stand up and people say, "Oh, that was great." And it's like, no, no, that was a bad show. It really wasn't. I have to look at things critically and I certainly try. There's certainly times where I'll mail something in, but there's times where if I feel like I deserve um a compliment, I'll perhaps not correct it so quickly. I'll say thank you, but more often than not, I'll say, your check's in the mail or something. Because you know, if they laugh, I did my job. That's really it. Um, I think there's far too much platitudes in this country, especially going to Europe, where everybody isn't so again based on hyperbole and platitudes and oh, if you ever need something, give me a call. My upbringing has taught me anything but, where I've literally needed something and called people. I'm not talking about money, mind you. I'm just talking about like, uh, I have this situation that I can't handle, help. And the same person that said, if you ever need anything, give me a
Right.
call.
It's empty
Yep,
platitudes.
yep, yep. So I'd rather know that somebody's gonna, and this is partially Danish training, um, Denmark, I mean, um, the way you say American for America, Danish is Denmark. Denmark is Danish. So in case anybody was trying to think I was saying something else about an earlier topic. Um,
I just got it. Okay, that took me a second.
um, so uh, yeah, I kind of picked up on some of their traits, and if I need to hear it or feel I deserve it, I'll probably fish for it. But other than that, I don't need to hear platitudes to carry about whatever. But I try. I take shortcuts. I know when it's bad, and waiting for this bottle to empty.
All right, before we go, you are getting way too deep, Nickums. Like, we're keeping it light, and he's like, what about the
Wow.
fucking war? No,
Which
no, no,
one?
no. I know. Um, is there anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to specifically talk about? Because I want to make sure.
Oh, I know they're going live in a wee bit, and I don't. I this was planned. This was planned before everything that happened yesterday. I'm not in the business of continuing anything. So if any of them or any of their fans are watching or whatever, I genuinely am not trying to, keep that situation with any oxygen genuinely. I'm I'm okay with having yesterday or today, kind of be it. Um, because like I'm sure there's things that they feel like I need to be held to task for. I certainly feel like there's things that somebody needs to be held to task for. I I walked away for a specific reason, and it's
Yeah.
to not keep doing this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about things that, aren't Eric July.
Yes.
That's and other things like it.
And I think you can maybe breathe easier once, that stream is over. Hopefully you can. And it'll all be over and it'll all be done. But I am glad. You know what? We got to have you back on a fun stream.
I agree. I
Like
agree. I'm all about fun. I
like
literally got paid to have fun or
right,
make people
like
have fun.
let's a stream that we talk about movies or something. Like this is way too serious to have this be our first stream together.
Indeed. And you can come, argue about how cookies and cream is the best
Is the
ice cream flavor.
best.
Yeah.
Yes.
That'll
And
be
pineapple on pizza is delicious. That's a good one too.
a nice way to have a nice soft, no frills version of We the Purple, just arguing ice cream.
Yes, exactly. All right, guys, make sure you check out his channel in the description. And of course, if you need anything, you've got my email. You will be back. That is not an empty platitude. You will be back.
If I need you.
No, when
No,
I
I'm
say, no, I'm
yeah.
just kidding. And we will see you guys next time. Thank you so much, Charles.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for letting me reach out to you and being so receptive. Because I was like, "Ah, help."
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. And we will see you guys next time. Bye guys.
Toodles.
I can do, I feel it